Machines were fed with hydrocarbons left behind by the forests and jungles millions of years ago. As the fuel wells gradually got depleted, fuel got more expensive, and much of the Earth's forests and jungles were raised to grow specialized plants that were then processed to make fuel to feed the machines. The price of grains increased, but many people were unable to afford grains, and many people went hungry and suffered greatly. Animals were fed with chemicals to make them more attractive to sell without regards to health concerns. Animals were slaughtered alive to save a few pennies. Plants were fed on chemicals as the earth was already too depleted to nourish the plants. The quality of nutrition dropped to levels that were reflected in the ill state of the people that were fed on the empty calories. Many people from rich nations became very fat, and within a few generations, the richer you were, the fatter you were. By 2100 AD, being fat became more and more normal, and eventually acquired a status symbol of power and wealth. People got so fat that they could not fit into public facilities anymore. They fought for equality rights in courts and won. Public places had to double the size of all chairs, beds, doorways, hallways, staircases, and cars so that all people could fit in them. This was very expensive for all the people. It made many thin people very poor and a few fat people very rich. Scientists were able to prolong lives that nature otherwise compassionately shortened. Lives were prolonged by cutting out and replacing organs that were the cause of the illness. Doctors became mechanics, constantly repairing humans to keep them functioning. Because vaccinations promised lifelong protection from viruses and drugs promised instant relief from illnesses, and because both were very profitable, greedy drug companies convinced politicians to require vaccinations for everyone for all of the viruses from birth. They vaccinated babies for viruses that were a risk only for prostitutes and heroin addicts. The universal vaccines contained mercury and caused much more suffering than the viruses would have caused. The population of the earth greatly increased. Many lived in very difficult conditions. 1 in 6 people were mentally handicapped. Many lacked basic living necessities like water. Many poor were left to scavenge for wood to make a fire. The rich, who lived in abundance, suffered from obesity, and cancer reached epidemic proportions. Hospitals and the treatments made many sick people leave sicker than they entered. But scientists were able to prolong lives with organ transplants and replacements. For every care worker, there were 2 people requiring constant help. Sick people, autistics, and those with Alzheimer's were considered to be beneficial to society. Each person requiring help provided an average 3.7 full-time jobs. Hospitals were like garages, and healthcare workers were like mechanics. People were like broken-up cars being constantly repaired. The growing population eventually strangled the earth like a cancer. Humanity and her machines were like cancer to the planet, eventually strangling it like a weed. The earth cried with floods, grumbled with earthquakes, and fevered with global warming in an attempt to expel the cancer which was slowly killing her.